Oh, hi, kids.
Well, hello there.
Hang on. I was just playing it on my phone to make sure I didn't screw it up. Hi, WhiskeyBanger. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are you, Miss CannoliSasquatch?
I'm okay. Listen, I'm just going to make sure that this is actually working. I have my phone here, which is my own. I'm okay. Oh, God, we're on. Okay.
I heard it.
All right, kids. Welcome to the Whiskey and Cannolis podcast. This is episode 13, which I think is very fitting since we are talking about paranormal activity, aliens, all things that are questionable. My dog already screwed up the backdrop. My husband hasn't seen this backdrop, so I hope he'd be proud. Look at her. She already tried to stick her head out. Well, listen, women always have to do it better. So I tried. And before we begin, are you drinking this evening, sir?
Well, in true whiskey banger fashion, I got a big old thing of some bullet whiskey with some ginger ale, and it is outstanding.
You know what? Cheers to that. This says Cheers Witches, and it is vodka, 7-Up with no sugar, cherry juice, so I'm not doing the keto, and some cherries. So I have my whole cocktail bar right here. Anyway, you'll notice somebody is missing. Coward. That would be Filipino Meatball. He was scared to come on tonight because he can't handle things that are paranormal. I would have liked him to be here because I think that he would have added some skepticism to it and maybe asked some questions. And anyway, who needs the meatball when I've got the whiskey?
That's right. I'll be your skeptic
tonight. So how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. It's Friday. Got the podcast rolling. It's a different format.
I know. Thank you very much for doing this. You didn't have to do this. I appreciate it.
Oh, no,
I'm supposed to look for comments. Hold on a second. There's 9 comments on here. Let me click on them. Good job, the husband says. Thank you. My daughter's on, who bailed on me. Hi, Greg, Double G. Now, I've invited some friends that are supposed to be watching live for support. And if they don't jump on and say hello, I will find you, all of you. There's my Christina. Hi, Christina. Thank you for joining. I appreciate that. Christina Pinera Bread. So I know,
see
Greg,
the difference between a woman and a man. Like, look at your backdrop and look at mine. Like, look at the difference between. There's nothing here.
I wanted to talk to you about that. Do you need me to come decorate? Because Cassie and I could put Batman posters. I mean, Greg wants to do a green screen. This is not something Greg would do normally. But if you would see my house, my whole coffee bar is done. This behind me is done. My mantle is done. I'm a little obnoxious in that regard. So I had to take, I know it's okay. I mean, there's good obnoxious. So yeah, that's okay. Plain wall is fine. I mean, you didn't want to take away from my background anyway. It would have been rude.
Right. I'm not trying to steal the spotlight here.
Well, I am,
Frank,
because
how you doing?
If today's podcast does better without Greg,
you might have to take the mantle.
I know how to decorate a mantle, that's for sure. Okay, so do I sound okay? Because I have not touched this microphone.
You sound great.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. So tonight we're going to talk about paranormal activity, and I thought it was fitting since I really, really enjoy that topic. It is the 13th episode. We're now in fall, almost to October, which is a paranormal month, all the weird stuff. There are actually, just so you know, and I am going to talk a lot because I'm Italian. I use my hands. Tanner might have to cut me off because I talk too much. I'm really sorry in advance, but I did a lot of research this week. I read a book on paranormal activity. I did a lot of research, so I found out a lot of really interesting things. And one thing I'm going to start with is paranormal activity isn't actually really rampant during when you think it would be, like the month of October and Halloween. Because it's usually, a lot of it is demonic, they like to hit you on holidays. Christmas, Easter, Good Friday, which is funny. No, it wasn't St. Joseph's Day. I was just thinking that's when Greg and I got married. But it's all of there's some Jewish holidays that were named, but they like to really stir shit up around religious holidays. Those are the demonic presence. And that's where a lot of these movies have been made, and all of these, like, nobody wants to watch nice ghosts. Nobody wants to watch people not get the shit scared out of them. So a lot of times you're not going to watch, like, have they ever made a scary movie where the ghost is like, oh, I'd like to come to dinner and I'd like to hang out? No, they like to throw shit at your head and turn lights on and off and slam stuff. So I felt like that was interesting, where they do tend to come out certain holidays. I figured what I would do, and Tanner, jump in whenever. I'm just going to kind of give everybody kind of a rundown of paranormal activity. Is just, I feel like, and Tanner's going to give his definition, is things that, Christina, you're using your Christmas coffee cup right now? Hold, please.
Sounds like my
Banger.
sister.
Christina. You know how I feel about people not paying attention to the times of year. I saw that one time during the summer, and what happened to you? Go dump that cup out right now before I slap the shit out of you. That is not okay. Remember, no coconut smells in November or December. I don't want to smell pumpkin in July. Pay attention, Christina, or get off my live stream. Anyway, so a lot of people think paranormal activity is just scary stuff. It's not. It can be all sorts of things. I think it's aliens too. I have a story for you down the line about some alien stuff that happened to me. But a lot of times there are a bunch of different kinds of spirits that can come through. There is a human spirit, which they say is, of course, someone who has passed away. So if you can either see that person, or they could be doing things in your house to make their presence known. Or there is an inhumane, I don't know how to say it. It's a spirit that never walked the earth. So it's called a demonic spirit. And there are different kinds of spirits where there's just evil shit in the air and it decides to come after you. And then lastly, there's two types that you'll see. So if you see a ghost, it's more like a black mass, or a mass of some kind. And a ghost, you're unable to determine the shape, and there's no eyes. An apparition is a human-like figure with eyes. So and I'll go into detail later of some apparitions I haven't seen firsthand, but we'll get into that. So right off the bat, I guess we could talk about, did you ever have any personal experiences you would like to share regarding any paranormal activity that you have had personally?
I've had a few things that have happened. I would like to start by saying that, like, for me, the paranormal is it's a very fascinating subject for me. It started when I was about 13. I was on a hunting trip with my dad and his friend, and we actually were up on a ridgeline looking down into like a small valley, just about maybe 30 minutes north of Cave Creek. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, again, I'm 13, right? Like, I'm bored. We haven't seen any animals or anything. So we're just kind of sitting there, and something catches my eye off in the distance. And at first it looks like a Mylar balloon, right? Like one of those metallic looking balloons.
Okay.
You know, it's like metallic on one side, and then the other side has like happy birthday or whatever. So I think it's just a Mylar balloon that's like floating in the air. And I'm like, well, that's weird. So I kind of look at it and I realize it's a lot farther away than I think it is. And it's a lot bigger than I think it is. So I'm seeing this thing that I can't identify. I don't know what it is. It's not a plane. It's stationary. It's not. It's rotating, but it's not moving like anywhere.
Like it's circle,
And
like going round and round.
yeah, like it's just kind of rotating. It was rotating. Well, I mean, it depends on which way you're. It was rotating from left to right as I looked at it,
Okay.
and it was kind of a metallic looking color. It was kind of globular, if that makes sense. It didn't really have like a shape to it. It kind of moved around and morphed into
So
these
like
weird.
Slimer from Ghostbusters.
I mean, kind
Globular?
of. Yeah, like just it didn't really have a shape. Like it wasn't round. It wasn't square. It didn't have any right angles
Well,
or edges or anything.
according to my notes, that might be a ghost, unable to determine shape.
Oh, see, AJ in the chat. There you go. He saw a UFO. I'm telling you, like I said, that happened when I was 13. I see this thing. I don't know what it is, and I pull up my binoculars and I'm looking at it, and I have no idea what it is. So I'm young. I'm dumb. I don't know anything about paranormal. I don't know anything about UFOs. So I'm fascinated at this point. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to get my dad's attention, like, hey, what is that? What is that over there? And he's kind of like, shh, we're hunting. You got to be quiet, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at it, and then all of a sudden it just disappears. Like it didn't shoot off or fly away. It just disappeared. And at that point I was fascinated. So from then on, I was very like, I was that kid at the library pulling all the UFO books off the shelf and like checking them out. And even to this day, I listen to all kinds of podcasts.
You don't know what you saw.
I have no idea what it was. To this day, I've never seen anything. I never saw anything before that looked like that. And I haven't seen anything since, like not even video on like YouTube or anything. I've never seen anything that matches what I saw. So now I don't want to say that it's like, aliens from like Zeta Reticuli or something checking us out or anything. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it's what started my kind of fascination with the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, back when I was 13. So the paranormal is a lot of things. Like you touched on it earlier. Ghost activity, UFOs, Bigfoot, cryptids, out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, psychic, telekinesis. Yep. It's pretty much anything that's outside of the realm
or clairvoyancy. Like I guess clairvoyancy is the fancy word for psychic abilities, I guess. Because when you're clairvoyant, you can just read a room and say, okay, well, this, that, and the other happened here, and you can tell what happened in the past. And so that's, what's interesting too is that you have to be open to it. Like I've never seen anything to the naked eye. So but it doesn't mean I don't believe. Like just because I haven't seen it, I mean, excuse me, all you religious people, but we've never seen Jesus and we've never seen God, or we've never seen whomever we worship, but we just believe because we just have this feeling, and there's a sense, and just there's things that make sense. So I think that we don't have to necessarily see things. I also feel like, Juliana said she's seen like a ghost. Well, you can elaborate more if you want to in the chat, kiddo. Anyway, now I forgot what I was going to say. Anywho, I lost my train of thought. That never happens. But anyway, I just feel like, if paranormal activity and aliens and all of that stuff wasn't true, why would so many people make this stuff up? And why would so many people have the same kind of reenactment, or when they go through all of the details of everything, why is everybody's stuff similar? When they say, oh, I saw an alien and it looked like this, everybody's kind of similar unless they're copying each other. But I think that would be ridiculous if everybody would just make stuff up. So obviously there are people that have seen things, and I've seen things too, but not firsthand. What's to say? Remember in the laundry room when I was like 5, grandma's relative. I don't know what Juliana's talking about. You referenced religion. What do you say? Oh, so anyway, did you ever have any other encounters after you were 13 that are interesting?
Yeah, so I've had two more that actually three more, I would say, off the top of my head that are, again, it's things that are just unexplainable. I consider myself to be a pretty level-headed person, right? Like I'm not super whimsical or anything, and I'm not
No,
super
you're kind of
hardcore
black and
skeptic
white,
either.
I would say. You're like you like your facts and you like
Yeah,
things to make sense.
I do. And so you touched on a little bit before about like the demonic side of things. I mean, there's a lot of different avenues that you can take when it comes to paranormal, which is what makes it so
Mm-hmm.
fascinating. I mean, there's facets of people out there that believe that all alien/UFO encounters are demonic, that all ghosts are actually demons, and they're not, your deceased loved one. They're just
Right,
disguised as a demon, or they're disguised as your loved one, but they're actually a demon.
right.
It's fascinating because one of my other stories that I have that I still to this day blows my mind. I can't explain it. It's one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me. I was 16, living at my parents' house, and I had just got done with track practice, high school. Got home, ate a late dinner, took a shower. I just like plopped down on the bed, right? I'm not sleepy. I haven't fallen asleep yet or anything. Just plopped down on the bed, turn the TV on. I'm sitting there watching whatever. I don't even remember what I was watching. And my bed was kind of raised off the ground a little bit because I had storage underneath. So my bed
Mm-hmm.
sat pretty high. And I'm laying kind of like on my side, but like at an angle, like with a pillow
Mm-hmm.
right here. And I'm just kind of like watching TV. So my back would have been to like the main part of the room because my bed was up against the wall. And I'm laying there and I start hearing some I'm just going to say it. It sounded like
It's okay.
picture a demonic voice that you hear in like a movie, right? That very deep, can't understand what they're saying. They're speaking like some other like Latin or something. Can't understand what the hell they're saying. Like when you see like an exorcist movie or an exorcism type movie.
I've actually
And
heard it on Paranosis, and I'll talk about that later, but I've heard those. It's like a deep, demonic, growlish type of voice.
yeah, it's like very guttural sounding.
Yes. Yep.
And
Yep.
I immediately got this like chill down my spine because I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm watching TV. I have the volume off, like it's on mute. And I'm just,
Mm-hmm.
watching TV, like whatever. And I immediately freeze and I chill down my spine. I'm like, what the hell is that sound? I start like looking around my room, like, okay, is my sister messing with me? Like, did she put a recorder in here? Like she's trying to scare me or something. But my sister's not
Sure.
like that. She never like played pranks on me or anything. So I'm looking around the room and then I see my sister's cat in my room. Now, for a little backstory on that to kind of make things make a little more sense. My sister had this cat and she was like a super scaredy cat, right? Like she would never come up to me. She would never come up to my dad or my mom. She only hung out in my sister's room. Anytime you walked up and like tried to pet her, she'd just run away. So I'm not used to being around this cat anywhere near me. So as I'm laying there and I like peek over and I like look over the edge of my bed, the cat is sitting there like on its haunches, right? With its like paws sitting there and it's looking
Right.
at me and its head is like cocked to the side. And I see its mouth moving and I'm hearing that demonic, crazy, guttural sound.
Were you drinking?
I was not, no. I jumped
That's
up out of bed, like threw my pillows and covers like up out of the bed, sprinted out the room. The cat sprinted out of the room with me. I like go to my sister's room and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Again, it sounds crazy. I tried to explain it to my sister. She was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. You're a weirdo, blah, 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 whatever. Try to tell my parents about it the next morning. They don't believe in any of that stuff anyway. So it's like, yeah, I'll do anything for you, Timothy.
No, don't you do anything for him. He backed out on us. He doesn't deserve it. He does not deserve it.
Fran, I'm telling you, Fran, it was one of the there's a few times I've been really like, to the core, like scared when you have that like fight or flight feeling.
Mm-hmm.
A few of those were in the military, a couple of those were some other like car accident type situations, but this was one of those situations where I was scared to death, and I don't know why. Like, I mean, I know why now.
Just to reiterate, the cat's mouth was moving as this guttural noise was happening, like
Yes.
together.
Yes. Now I will say it didn't sound like it was coming.
Hold please. Some of us are buying a car at 7:30 at night on a Friday. I smell. Oh shit!
It better be a 4Runner.
Yeah, but who buys a car at 7:30 when they're supposed to be on a podcast when they didn't seal the deal last week?
Ooh, got him.
Timothy. Oh, sorry, Filipino Meatball. Don't give me your BS. I'm over you.
Filipino, I would have choked the shit out of that cat now. Back then I was scared. I'm not going to lie. I was scared.
Well, you should have been scared because the thing is obviously that cat was possessed. Obviously there was something that is just, here's the thing. This is why Greg won't own a cat, because he said that they're demonic shitheads anyway. Like he doesn't want anybody to hurt a cat. He doesn't want to see anything happen, but he thinks that they're like one step away from like the devil. He doesn't like cats for that reason. And no, thank you. Yes, what did he say? Yes, Tanner has seen it. It's the Highlander that Gregory picked.
Cock.
We're not talking about cars, dude. I thought you were doing adulting things. You shouldn't even be chatting with us, brat. You're letting Greg down. Greg with a double G on the Ice Nazi update. So he's going to be sad about that. Hopefully you and I, Whiskey Banger, will do a good enough job that Greg will not be upset. So buying cars are adulting. Nobody buys a car at 7:30 at night on a Friday, dude. Get a life. So that is really scary shit. That is weird. Listen, it's Tim.
Yeah.
So that is really scary. That would have freaked me out, and I probably would have moved out to the backyard or the shed.
It was weird, and I wanted to preface the whole, the cat is very skittish. It's not like a loving come up to you and like rub against you kind of cat. It wasn't like that. So for it to be just like sitting in my room staring at me and like talking in a weird way, it terrified me. And then after that, it never happened.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Abomination AJ, the movie is called Christine, I believe.
Yeah.
The possessed, not Transformers, Tim. Knock it off. They're not possessed. They defended our country. Sorry, Tanner. Sometimes you need a car to fight for our country.
I mean,
but you're right.
Who doesn't want a freaking yellow bumblebee, whatever?
I would I would like to see Bumblebee fight, but anyway, not to cut you off, I agree with you. That was not normal behavior. Now, I'm not trying to be a skeptic here, but you do have skeptics. There's no way that you were like halfway sleeping, right? Because you were tired. It was the end of the day. No? Okay.
I would say no. I mean, and that's a fair question because like I said, I just got done with track practice. So like, we were working out and stuff. It was probably about 7:30. Like my parents already ate, my sister already ate dinner. So I just like ate whatever was left over.
Yeah.
Took a shower, laid down. So to answer your question, there's a possibility it could have been some kind of like hypnagogic, hypnopompic, I'm having some hallucination while I'm about to fall asleep kind of thing.
Because I do notice, like, do you ever notice when you're starting to fall asleep and then you just get jerked awake by something and it freaks the shit out of you? For no reason. So I'm not discrediting you. I believe that it happened, but I know there might be some people listening that are like, well, he was probably half asleep or he probably dreamt it. I think it happened because shit's weird. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you believe in the afterlife, you can't just believe that somebody just dies, goes in the ground, and that's the end of their day. I mean, there are too many weird phenomenons that happen to rule out stuff like that. Like, for instance, okay, so I wanted to maybe bring this up. Like, I found this rather interesting. So people often wonder, like, when do you become a ghost? How do you become a ghost? Oh, Franny believes you, Tanner. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I keep calling you by your real name. I'm so sorry. I didn't know if you're incognito whiskey banger. Sorry.
Who, me? No, you can call me whatever. It's fine.
But I'm not going to call you daddy because we know who calls you that already.
That's Greg's job.
That's Greg's job. So people might get the wrong idea too, since I'm a female. Well, I'm identifying as a female today.
Yes.
Today. Well, you know.
Tomorrow, who knows?
Tomorrow, who knows? So anyway, people often wonder, do you become a ghost as soon as you die? And so I read this book this week by Ed and Lorraine Warren. They were two very, very, very popular paranormal investigators. They were the ones best known. If you've ever seen The Conjuring, they were the ones that investigated the whole thing. And the whole Conjuring was based off of like their experiences with the house and stuff. But they first started getting popular with the Amityville Horror house. But I read their book this week because I wanted to be very up on, the know of paranormal activity. And I found this interesting. So if you've died suddenly and unexpected and refuse to accept that you are dead, there's a good chance you would remain earthbound until you realize you're dead. In the meantime, while trying to sort it out as a spirit, you probably would remain in your house and do everything that you would normally do, but they can't hear you. Frustrated, you find a way to communicate by moving objects and slamming doors to get their attention. Like, for instance, there was this story that they were talking about where this woman and her mother were going somewhere in a snowstorm, and all they wanted to do, like the mom or the daughter. So the mom and the daughter was an adult, and all she wanted to do was go home. She was just trying to get home. So when she traumatically and suddenly died, that's where she went. She went home like nothing ever happened. She couldn't understand she was dead. And she was watching her family and just going about her regular business because she didn't know she was dead. So a lot of times you're stuck. And so what I found out a lot of the times too is that paranormal investigators or people that have this, I call it a sixth sense. So if you can tap into that, like for instance, some people can just walk into a room and go, oh, I can feel it. It's heavy in here. I feel the spirits, or I feel something over there or over here or whatever. So they had this talent where she was a clairvoyant. So clairvoyant basically is like a psychic. So she could go into a house and she could say this, that, and the other happened here. And then the husband, he was a demonologist, and he was actually recognized by the Catholic Church. So there were 7 demonologists ever recognized by the Catholic Church. 6 of them were priests. 1 was him, because he had so many experiences. They've done, it said over 3,000 cases. And what would happen is they would have to be brought in because they would have to release the spirit. The spirit is stuck, whether it could be demonic too. And there are ways that you can bring demonic spirits to your home. And the interesting thing is it's not the house that's haunted. It's the person. They attach to the person. So there was a story that I read. This family, oh my God, they didn't make a movie about it or anything, but this family was tortured for 60 days by a demonic presence. 60 days. Their house was torn up. Just scratches and banging. I mean, it was just traumatic for 60 days. I can't go into detail, but it was just like paint peeling off the walls and just horrific. Like their house had to be demolished after it was done because it was just trashed. But after 60 days of this intense torture, and they went into a lot of details in the book about exactly what this family went through. Well, they had to bring Ed and Lorraine Warren in, and he, they used holy water, they used the rosaries, they used God, they used.
Miss Sasquatch, you hit your mic. You turned it off.
There you go. Okay. Where did I leave off?
I heard you were talking about the demons and the Catholic Church. And you were telling a story, and then it cut out.
So anyway, see, I talk with my hands. It's this terrible thing. I've actually slapped people before because I get so crazy. So anyway, there was this family that was tortured for 60 days, and their house was trashed. And every time they would go to bed, their shit was just thrown everywhere. They would see stuff levitating. They would see dressers being thrown across the room. I mean, it was violent. And at the end of this, they had to call in Ed and Lorraine Warren, and holy water was used, and references to God and rosaries and all that stuff. And they said that the spirit finally showed himself, and he had devil horns, and he resembled like the devil. And the interesting thing is they tried to leave the house to go to a hotel, and the hotel got fucked up. The hotel got trashed, and the people were complaining like they followed these people. Do you want to know how it all started?
I do.
The daughter of the family decided to pull out the Ouija board, which they say a Ouija board invites spirits into the home. And she had this fake boyfriend that was a spirit. And they talked for several weeks. And then she asked if he would tell her his name, and shit started. That's when he got pissed and just started like attacking the family. And but at the end of it, it was like this demonic entity that had devil horns and stuff. It was sick. Like you can't invite that stuff into your house and think it's funny. People think the Ouija board is funny. I did it when I was a kid. Did you?
I never did it. No. My sister did.
Well, since we're talking about games as kids, did you ever do any weird games like Bloody Mary?
You know what that is? When I was younger, we did like Bloody Mary, and there was one other one I can't think of off the top of my head. But
did you ever see anything in the mirror?
I never did, no. I had some friends that claimed they did, and it's, like I said, I'm a open-minded skeptic, so it's like, interesting. Tell me about it. And they would. And like one guy said he saw what we were talking about earlier, an apparition in the mirror. He said he couldn't really like give a lot of detail, but it looked like the outline of a person. He saw the eyes. He said they were glowing, which was scary.
Do you ever wonder though how much of it is you wanting to see something, so you fabricate something in your mind and think that you saw something that you maybe didn't see?
I think there's a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? It would be like, there would be like a bias towards it, right? Like if you're, let's say you're going on like a ghost hunting tour at like, a Civil War battlefield in like Gettysburg, right. You're already primed to want to see something, right? You're already somewhat of a believer to begin with to go and do it, unless you're like a super debunker and you just want to say it's all bullshit.
Right.
But you already primed yourself, right? Like you're already in the mindset of like, hey, we're going to go check out this battlefield at Gettysburg. There's ghosts there. People have seen ghosts and like EVPs and like apparitions.
Oh, we're going to get into that later. Look at you, Mr. EVP. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
The verbiage. We'll get to that later of explaining how we can communicate with ghosts. But go ahead. Yes, looking for that EVP.
Yeah. So like if you're already in the mindset of I'm going to see a ghost, or I'm going to a place where there have been ghosts seen before. I mean, you could theoretically say that your brain is kind of priming yourself for something to happen. So if you do see something and you can't readily explain it right away, your brain's probably going to go to, oh, that was a ghost. That was definitely a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely an argument to be made there.
So. I think it's hard though too, because but at the same time, if maybe that's just how you're opening your mind to it, because you have to be open in order to see certain things. I don't know. I think I'm jealous at the people that can actually accept that, because I want to, but then it scares the crap out of me. Like,
understandable.
To see stuff like that. I don't know. But back to, since you were talking about EVPs, I forget what that stands for. It's electronic voice
phenomenon.
Yeah. So there are different kinds of ways. I do watch. Hold on a second. We've got a special guest. Hold on, Daddy.
Oh, hello, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
We hear you very well.
Yeah, I'm at a Mexican restaurant here in Texas, and I can't hear shit.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. While you're on the stream, I need to, Mommy's drinking a little bit, and I need to use the facilities. So can you entertain for a second?
Oh, sure. I could talk to Daddy.
Well, Daddy misses you. Hold, please.
Oh, so whiskey. So we got dinner really late here. I don't know what's going on. So how's everything been going on the show?
It's been going great, man. We got a good topic going. We're touching on the different subjects like ghosts, UFOs, kind of getting to our base level of like what the paranormal entails.
Yeah,
and we're trying to talk about, like, currently we're talking about we're about to talk about EVPs, like electronic voice phenomena.
Yeah, she's into all that stuff.
It's been good, man. Like, this is a topic I really enjoy. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's something. I like the Halloween decor in the background. That's.
I knew you would like that, Dad. I'm a fast peer, aren't I? I knew you would like that, Daddy. Listen, I went to Walmart today and I got a little carried away, but it was very inexpensive, and I wanted to really like outdo you. So I
that's not hard. That's not very hard to do.
Listen, we're gonna switch subjects really quick because I have you here. I would like to skip to the part where you and I had a very weird.
Oh, you mean when we were abducted by aliens and anal probed?
Well, listen, my butt wasn't sore. If yours was, that's your business. But
I didn't want to say anything at the time. I felt, like I was victimized by. Wait, hold on,
Daddy. Real quick, Greg. Did I do the opening right?
I saw the beginning of it. It looked fine to me. I was eating a fajita at the time, so I wasn't really paying attention. But, I've been eating carbs all weekend, so I'm a little like fucked up. So,
Daddy's not going to. Daddy's going to need the seatbelt extender.
No, we're doing good. But so real quick, not to change the complete subject, but tomorrow, Whiskey Bang, you'd love this. We're going to the shooting range early, and I'm firing off every weapon imaginable to man.
Oh yes.
Might be some automatic and mostly semi-automatic, but some automatic weapons too. Yeah. So I might take some video of that to post if I can. But we're going early, and then they don't fuck around in Texas with their guns. I mean, I know Arizona's the same, but it's going to be fun. A lot of rounds going to be fired tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
But anyway,
America.
As far as the story goes, we were abducted. You could hold on. Somebody's getting robbed over here.
So here, I'll start it real quick. So I don't know where Greg. First of all, Greg and I have been together for 25 years. So this happened when we were like in our early 20s. We weren't even married yet.
Yeah.
And I don't know where we were coming back from, and nobody's going to know the streets and stuff, but we were driving down a street in Phoenix, or it was like Scottsdale, and we were driving north, and we made a left-hand turn, and we were heading west by the airport. So a small airport. It was
Small
what is that?
airport.
The Scottsdale Air Park or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I shit you not. All of a sudden, Greg and I end up back at that street making the left-hand turn.
So it was almost like time. I think I told WhiskeyBanger this actually. We talked about this. Where time actually almost like reversed in a way, and we were back where we started, and it was such a weird thing because it happened so fast. And then I think we've talked about this. When you do research, the podcast that we listen to, I don't know if you talked about it. Where did the road go? Talks about incidents like excuse me. It talks about incidents like this. And it was really weird because I know people could say, well, it was in your head, it was your imagination, but it was so weird.
But wait a minute, though. How could it be in our imagination if it happened to the two of us at the same time? It was strange.
That's what I mean. It was very strange, very weird. Something weird happened, and then I did more research on it, like as life went on, and it's very common, unfortunately. And I think we were anal probed, but something. But I don't know if we went to a goddamn portal. I don't know if we were taken by something. I don't remember anything. But
do you remember if did the time change at all? Like I don't remember.
No. I from what I remember, the time it was back to the. If it happened within a minute, like it was back to the original time when we came down the street. So it's almost like either time stood still or it went backwards. It's really weird. I
remember I was driving my gray Pontiac Grand Am, like it was an old ass car.
Yeah.
And I was driving, and I was crying. I was so.
Yeah, it was very weird. We didn't know what the hell was going on, and then you found out, listening to that podcast later on, and research. It's actually very common for people. I don't know what the hell happened, but to this day, I'm convinced that it was not something that was. It wasn't normal. Something happened, and I don't know what it is. So I hope the aliens, if they did abduct us and put us back, got all the information they needed.
What if we were? What if we were chipped?
I mean, I don't know, like a GPS.
Yeah. Did anything weird go off when you went through the metal detector at the airport? Anything weird happen?
No, nothing happened. Nothing happened at the airport. I did see some people who look like aliens at the airport, but not the illegal kind. I mean, like actual aliens. So, that was an adventure.
Yeah, it was strange, and it screwed us up for a while because we don't know what happened, and it was almost like how I describe it. It's like my car was picked up and put back and just dropped and started.
It was weird. It's just like a circle almost. I can't explain it. It was very strange.
And here's another weird thing. There's no way if you were from Arizona and you knew and if you knew the route, when you make this left-hand turn to get back to the street we were on, it's almost impossible. You have to go all the way around the Scottsdale Airport, all the way. I mean, it would take probably a good 15 minutes to get back to that. And there's no way.
Yeah.
I would have driven all of that area to come all the way back.
It was very peculiar. I can't explain it, but there is a term for it. I just can't think of it at the moment. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what happened. I don't know, but it definitely happened. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but I forget about it, and then every once in a while I'll hear a story and I go, "Oh, that happened to me." But whatever. I mean, they got any information out of me? I don't know. What are you gonna do with me, though? What are you?
Your daughter, Gregory, your daughter. Oh, hi Ryan, how are you? Thanks for joining. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up on my fans. I have something to show Ryan. I have something to show Ryan in a little bit, specifically for him. But hold on. Your daughter said reality shifting. I don't know what that would be, but
I know it as a time slip. That's
time slip. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, you guys are describing a time slip.
What happens though? Like, am I literally like? I don't understand. Like, what happened? Did we black out? Did we actually drive that way?
It's something, if I remember correctly. And Whiskey, tell me if I'm wrong. It's like a portal thing, kind of.
So there's two theories. There's the portal theory where time and space stop and you go right back to where you were. Like you said, you guys were turning left at the intersection. And then the other theory is it's if you believe in the whole Matrix idea where we're all just some computer
in a
simulation.
simulation.
And it's like a glitch, basically, where you're driving and then all of a sudden you glitch out
glitch in the
and
Matrix.
you start back over.
Yeah. Maybe, I mean, Greg did offer me a red pill or a blue pill, and I don't remember which one I took.
Probably took both. That's why we're fucking tripping.
Like Diane said, good drugs. That's what it was.
Heavy LSD. We didn't want to say we were drug addicts back then, but listen.
Hang on. So, Ryan, you didn't miss much. We're starting to talk about paranormal experiences, and we're just kind of still getting started. I know we've been on for almost an hour, but we've been just chit-chatting about paranormal activity.
Do I see WhiskeyBanger wearing a Batman shirt?
No. Wait, I forgot to show his shirt.
Ah, Sasquatch.
Nice.
Beautiful. See, this is why I love you. I'm gone. You got to represent the Sasquatch Nation.
Listen, I was going to wear my Stranger Things shirt for Stranger Things, but you can't. I didn't want to sacrifice the decor, and your wife is sitting on a pillow because your chair is so freaking. I can't get it to get up.
Well, it's because I'm 9
like
feet
Tim,
tall.
and I'm sitting on a chair.
Ryan, I got to hear this story because I was going to ask. You're a firefighter. I know a lot of first responder, firefighter, police, military.
Listen, you guys are doing a great job so far. I have to get back to I have to go eat my fajitas again. So I appreciate all that you're doing. Whiskey, thanks for coming on and helping the wife out with the show. It's all.
Of course, bro.
So I'm going to watch the replay tonight. Everybody watching, thank you for chiming in. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Finish the show strong. And if you need any help, leave me alone because I'm going to be busy drinking margaritas.
Wait, real quick. Do they frown upon if you take your shirt off at the end of the podcast or no? Because I'm asking for Tana.
I mean, for you to do it, you might actually gain some subscribers. By the way, I want to thank everybody who subscribed. We're up to 71 subscribers. Everybody's killing it for us. Again, I don't know if Miss Sasquatch is like, subscribe, share the videos. Very important.
Nope, I haven't bullied everybody into liking the channel, dear.
Like the channel, subscribe to the channel. We're doing great. We're getting a lot of support. Again, everybody who's out there, love you all. And listen, I'm gonna let you guys finish, and I appreciate it. WhiskeyBanger, when I get back, we're gonna hang out.
Dude, let me know.
What about me? I don't get to hang out with you?
I see you every day. I don't need to see you.
Daddy. I'm making another drink, Daddy.
Yeah, I'm. Listen, I gotta go eat some bacon wrapped Mexican shrimp here. It's really good,
bro. So I want to debrief on all your food adventures in Texas.
Dude, he's gonna shit something awful when he gets.
Oh, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. I'm gonna get back on the keto and have keto shits for a week.
If you get diverticulitis when you come home, I'm not gonna be happy.
I'm not. No, we're good. We're healthier now. So listen, get back. Listen, I love everybody in the chat. Keep up the good work, and any questions, just let me know. I'll be around.
All right,
sure.
All right, love you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and he's. Oh, Daddy.
So cute. I'm getting misty.
Listen, my toilets are clean. My house is clean. There's no chaos.
Just wait until you got about 10 pounds of barbecue sitting in your husband when he comes home.
This is what happens when you let him off his leash. He just goes and let me tell you real quick. Side note. I packed him so strategically so he could take a carry-on, and I rolled everything. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it when he comes home. It's going to be funny.
Probably not. He comes out to me as just stuff it in there.
Ugh. Ryan said he got a call, so he'll be right back. So we'll hang tight and wait for him to go save a life and put out a fire. And so let's get back to
save a kitten.
Save a kid. He's such an asshole. First of all, Tim couldn't even climb the tree. He's probably got no upper body strength. Little Tyrannosaurus Rex. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Rex? All right. Yeah, I wanted to say that one time when he was talking about, but I couldn't spell. Got it. Look, it's that chin.
Yep.
So we were talking about how people can contact spirits, and you were talking about EVPs, which is very, very, very commonly used. And it's probably one of the first things I've noticed that, like, I started binge watching Ghost Adventures from the very beginning, and their equipment, it's interesting how, oh, hi, Cassie. How are you? Your beautiful wife just entered the platform.
Oh, hey, babe. How you doing?
Hi, babe. She doesn't get that kind of welcoming from Greg now, does she? So anyway, it's just interesting how the technology has evolved from, say, 2009 when they first started to now. And it's interesting because you'll watch episodes, older episodes, and they're introducing things that are so, like, normal for them to use today. So EVP is interesting because what it does is it's a recorder on a certain frequency that allows voices to be picked up. So you can't always hear them. Like, you hearing the cat growl like that was that was pretty cool, because you should not be able to hear that with it. They say naked ear, whatever. You should.
Right.
So, anyway, I have my phone on with the chat too, because I like to see how many people are listening to. We got 11 people. Thank you kindly.
Hell yeah.
I told you, everybody, I got $5 if you join, $5 if you watch our stream. So anyway, an EVP would be like, you set the recorder, and it's almost just like a handheld recorder, and then you ask them questions. You're not going to hear anything, and then you play back the recorder, and that's when you would pick up whatever voice. And it's interesting because sometimes, Greg's a big skeptic sometimes when he watches Ghost Adventures. He's like, how much of it's like bullshit, and how much, did they? And sometimes I'm skeptical because sometimes you'll hear it and they'll say, oh, it sounds like this. And it was like, that was a far pull.
Yeah. Big reach.
Thank you. Far pull, big reach. I like yours better. It's big reach. So, sometimes I'm like, oh, they just need the stuff for the show. But the EVPs have gotten better. So anyway, there's that. There's also things called spirit boxes. This one's a really interesting one. It's called an EMF detector, and it's measurements of ambient surrounding, like electromagnetic fields that are performed using particular sensors or probes. These probes can be generally considered as antennas, although with different characteristics. So basically what happens is, and this is only because I watch Paranoia. So Paranoia, if you guys haven't watched it, is a paranormal activity group, and there's a million of them, but I just happened to start watching this on TikTok because I like the vibe. The guy's name is Vincent Lords, and he is a hypnotherapist. He's kind of like, Greg calls him a David Blaine wannabe, like he buried himself alive one time, yada, yada, yada. I guess everybody's done that. But he's got a really cool vibe to him. He wears like guy liner, and there's Juliana. We love Paranoia. And then he's got a sidekick, Bennett. He's got a couple of other, Bennett's a girl, and there's a couple other people. Anyway, I really got into his podcast, or in his live thing. So an EMF detector is like a box, and it's just got these like big antennas that come out of it. And so anytime energy is around it, it will go from green to yellow to red, and red is like the strongest that you can get. So we kind of learned about that. There's also this thing called a REM pod. I don't know what the difference is between a REM pod. See, this is when I wish Juliana was here, and then there's this thing that's really, really creepy. It's just a regular like laser grid. So what you would do is you set up this laser grid, and it's green dots everywhere, and you can actually see things that move through it. So it's still, and then if something were to move through it, you would see the green dots get covered up. So those are common. Oh, and then there's also things like music box. She's right. There's also a music box that detects energy too. So if you were to walk in front of said music box, the music box would play. It looks like actually like a coffin with a little like thing on the top that plays music. So, and then they started using too, most recently, they started using just motion sensors, you know, those little like white things that if you walk in front of it, the light, they're like, you can set them anywhere. That's pretty creepy too when somebody walks in front of that and they turn on. So that's how they tend to show if a spirit is around, is they use those different devices. They also use not EMF detectors are things that they play secondhand. There are things like spirit boxes, but there's different names for them. There's I don't remember the name, but what it will do is it will actually, you can ask it a question and it will respond to you right away. But you also can hear a lot of different voices in the background, so it can be a little chaotic and really loud, but you can interact with the spirit right away with these spirit boxes. So it's very interesting how you can communicate. And I know we were talking about portals before, like when Greg and I were abducted by aliens. But do you know what one of the biggest portals is?
What one of the biggest portals is?
What do you think? What do you think? It's an everyday thing that is considered one of the biggest portals.
I don't know.
A mirror.
That makes sense.
Mirrors. Yep. So, for instance, if you were in a lot of the times with Paranosis, when we watch it, a lot of times Vince will open a portal through a mirror. And one in particular that he opened, there's this place called the Great Saltaire in Utah, and it's a concert hall. And if you know anything about the Great Saltaire, it's a whole area off of the Salt Lake, of course, that has been many different things, but it keeps getting hit by a disaster, whether it's flooding or it's fire or whatever. It's almost like the land is haunted. So this last go about, they did like a concert hall, and Marilyn Manson actually performed there, and he had the whole room covered in black, like a felt. And let's just say weird stuff happens in that room that nobody can explain. And there is a mirror that they say is a portal, and they feel like Marilyn Manson may have brought demonic energy, and nobody will ever go into that room because he's even explained he's had some really weird paranormal activity in there, Marilyn Manson. But mirrors are a very, very strong, like, even if it's a broken mirror sitting somewhere. What did she say? I thought a coma. People always wake up and have crazy stories.
That's very true.
It is really true. I mean, near-death experiences, I think, are, I don't know if I would say they're more, when you think of paranormal, yeah, I guess it could be the same thing. I mean,
I put it in the same category. It's out-of-body experiences, paranormal, out-of-body experience, and near-death experiences, in my opinion, are paranormal. It's like,
oh my God, hold on. I just hold on. Oh my God.
What's up? You got ghosts?
That was listen, this setup that Daddy has here is questionable, and I hit the wrong button, and all of a sudden the screen went really small in the corner, and I thought when does the shirt come off? Oh my God, Gregory,
right now,
you've only been gone for 2 days. Calm down. Oh, you mean Tanner's shirt?
He's talking to you. My bad.
Also, I found what's very interesting too is when people are have interactions with paranormal stuff, a lot of times people are scratched, or, well, I think just scratched, and they say that, and I've noticed this watching like paranormal activity. No, I'm sorry, Ghost Adventures and stuff. Scratches always come in 3s. I don't know if you've ever read that or seen that, but anytime, it's because it's a sign of the Holy Trinity. So anytime there's a scratch or something, I've always noticed if anybody's ever like injured or something, it's always It's always in threes. I wrote down some like interesting notes. A black mass is the most popular way for a demonic entity to enter the physical world. And when they do, they like to use lipstick or crayon, and they write backwards from right to left. So the script has to be read backwards, once again on a mirror, because mirrors tend to be portals.
It's fascinating.
You know what? I kind of felt like when I was doing all my research this weekend, I had to do a book report tonight.
Back in high school. Let's go.
Back in high school. I know. I wrote down all these notes and stuff. But you know what I forgot to talk about, because I think Greg came on or I got distracted. We were talking about games when we were kids, and we talked about Ouija Board and Bloody Mary. And I wanted to go back to that real quick because I did have an experience. See, oftentimes, yes, dear, I know. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the stream. We got it, Daddy. We got it. When does it become forceful, Whiskey Banger? When does it become bullying?
It's borderline verbal rape.
Thank you. I'm glad you agree, because I felt like I was like being a little ridiculous. So anyway, back when I was younger, probably 13, about the time you had your Mylar balloon incident, I was at a sleepover. I mean, sleepovers when you're a 13-year-old kid is like a must. And I don't know if it was a birthday party, but there were enough people, probably maybe 10 other girls, to participate in what we like to call light as a feather, stiff as a board. And if people don't know what that is, probably my kid, because she's only 14, what you do is somebody lays down, and then everybody gets around you, and they put 2 fingers. Please don't turn this into a dirty video. 2 fingers right underneath. Right underneath. Oh, and just so you know, I actually have Halloween nails on. They're cats and ghosts. I don't know if you can see it. Listen,
very fitting.
When I do something, I do it 100%. Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, so I'm laying down on the floor, and everybody puts 2 fingers under you. Now, realistically, nobody, not even 10 girls, 13-year-old girls, can lift a 13-year-old girl with 2 fingers. So what you do is everybody puts their around the sides. You don't do the head. You don't do the feet. It's only on the sides. And you keep repeating. Oh, my daughter does know what it is. Don't do it. So you keep repeating, light as a feather, stiff as a board. And you repeat it and repeat it. And the body is supposed to go all the way up. I didn't drink when I was 13, so I don't think I was drunk. However, I want to say I remember going all the way up to the ceiling.
Interesting.
And I don't know how to explain it. I know I'm not making it up. Why would I make that up? You know what I mean? Like I think about this a lot, and I'm like, I remember the room. I don't remember it was my friend Rebecca's house. I do remember. And I think it was a birthday party. And I just remember getting all the way up to the top to where I saw the ceiling. I mean, it's like, how do you explain that stuff? It's weird.
What did it feel like?
Get out of there.
What did it feel like? Did it feel like you were being cold? Or did
I don't remember a feeling. I just remember feeling light as a feather, honestly. I just remember, I don't know. It really kind of screws me up mentally, because I don't. What do you mean, ain't no way, Juliana? What, do you think your mom's a liar?
Just calling you out.
I think so. Don't call me out on the interwebs. I don't know, but that's one of, I've never had any paranormal activity, but I have that story, and it happened when I was 13, and I am only 24 now. So.
For like the 5th time,
so
right?
It's like, why have you never told me this? Well, Juliana, I don't know why I've never told you it. It just hasn't come up, but I'll never forget it. It was the strangest thing. I just, even talking about it creeps me out a little bit, because I don't understand what happened. I don't. but I know it happened. I know it wasn't a dream because anyway. So that was why I wanted to bring up that topic, because I did have that very, very strange situation. Okay, so let's talk about I want to kind of talk about debunking some stuff, whether or not you think certain things are true. For instance, the Amityville Horror. Are you familiar with that story?
Yes.
Okay. So, do you feel like there really were hauntings at that house after the family was killed? Do you feel like I've never seen the movie, and I probably should now that I've read this book. But do you feel like, have you seen the movie?
Yeah. And I mean, I know the story of what happened. The dude claimed that he was possessed and he killed his whole family, and people that bought the house afterwards claimed that they were possessed, the dad anyway, and that
I do know the name. They were the Lutz family. I do remember. I do remember that from my readings. The reason I ask is because Greg has said that he doesn't believe that it actually happened. He believes that it was all to make money.
I mean, if you go through the annals of paranormal history, there's plenty of, hoaxers out there looking to make a buck. And it's hard to decipher. Like you just said, your story about the light as a feather, stiff as a board. I mean, I believe you. I have no reason not to. But there could easily be somebody out there that could exploit that and be like, well, it happened to me too, and I'm going to write a book about it and make money off of it. You know what I mean? So it's there's a lot of people, like even Ed and the Warren family, the husband and wife, they've even been called.
So you're familiar with that couple then too, huh?
Yeah, so they've been a part of a lot of, like you said, like 3,000 cases.
Yeah.
She's a clairvoyant / psychic. She can feel energy. And it's weird because I don't think that that's fake. I think that she has some abilities. And like you said, he was recognized by the Catholic Church as a demonologist. I mean, those are factual. Well, I mean, the demonologist thing is a factual thing. Her being clairvoyant, she has a lot of things that can kind of back that up. So I don't want to call them hoaxers necessarily.
Or as the kids say, frauds.
Yeah. I mean, could they have maybe hyped some things up a little more to make things a little crazier? Sure. I don't know. I mean, they did make money off of their business and what they did.
They did, but in all fairness, the Amityville Horror was like probably their 1,015th case. So it's not like they got, because I did do, like I said, I did read their book, and they started in the 1940s working with spirit phenomenon. And the Amityville Horror did not happen until December of 1975. So there's no reason why from the 40s to 75, all of a sudden they're like, hey, Ed, let's go get rich and make up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So Greg in the chat's talking about how it's proven to be a hoax. There is a lot of weird things with a lot of the Warren families, like the Enfield haunting that The Conjuring is based off of. There's a lot of weird things that happened there early on, but then there was also a lot of things that were kind of, I'll say, hoaxy. And it kind of comes off as the kids were trying to get people to believe them. So they were caught faking some things. But it's one of those things where it's like, imagine if something crazy happened to you and nobody believes you. So like, how do you get someone to believe your story. I could see people trying to like maybe fabricate some stuff in order to get people to just listen to your story. So
Well,
it's
it also could have been like when they did the movie. Now, and you fabricate things for a Hollywood, take, but it's interesting that I see that Greg said that it was proven to be a hoax. Well, my Greg said that too, and I got angry because I don't like to be told things are not true. So I did pull an article up because I do research, and I did find an article by the Sun Quentin. Listen, it's a weird name with a Q. I'm not going to try to say it. He was the son of Kathy Lutz, so the Lutz family. Bear with me. I'm typing my experience on this call I went on. So apparently Ryan had a stabbing in Maryville. He said it's just a regular Friday night. So we'll let him type up his situation and then we'll figure out what he's talking about. Anyway, so Kathy Lutz, her son, did come out, and he said as a child living in the house made famous by the Amityville Horror, he saw a menacing shadowing figure approach him. But he did say that he feels like his stepfather at the time brought the troubles on himself by dabbling in the occult, and then amplified what paranormal incidents did occur to profit off of books and movies about the house. He said he was a professional showman, in his opinion. So I do feel like there was demonic spirits, because a person can't kill 6 kids and 2 parents and not feel something in that house. And I'll tell you, I did just recently watch Ghost Adventures, where they did the Amityville house, and they did have a spirit come through that said, I killed 6 kids. Now, it's different when you're seeing a Hollywood production, such as a movie or a show. You don't know if you can believe what you are hearing. But I do think that occurred, and I do think there was some demonic stuff, but I maybe think that the dad tried to possibly publicize off of it. Do you think that could be a possibility?
It's possible, yeah.
I mean, I guess if you have a demonic spirit and you just agitate it, it's going to start screwing with you. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. But I will tell you, these people, the Warrens, they not only did the Amityville Horror, they also there was this whole story about this Annabelle doll. I've never seen. Well, maybe I saw a little bit of Annabelle. Have you ever seen that movie?
I have, yes.
What do you think?
I don't know what to think about. Like, it's weird. So, like, the movie itself is, it's a perfectly fine. It's not like a great movie or anything, but it's a perfectly fine kind of spooky movie if you want to freak yourself out a little bit. But as far as like possessed objects go, there's a lot of possessed dolls, possessed.
Do you believe in that? Do you believe that dolls can take possession of, or people can take possession of dolls?
I think. I would say it's possible. Like I said, I'm an open-minded skeptic type. So if someone's telling me that, hey, this doll is possessed, my initial response is going to be like, well, why? Like, what's happening? What's going on? And then if they can, they'll tell me, hey, it moves, it freaking makes noise. Okay, fine. Like, I'll need to see a little bit of evidence to fully believe that. But it's interesting because, there's like possessed, chests and like dressers and possessed mirrors, possessed chairs. Yeah. And it's like, okay. It's interesting. I'll admit it's not my paranormal cup of tea, if you will.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting concept of, because it could be a few different things going on. It could be, like you said, something demonic. It could be someone placed a curse on it. It could be, residual energy from the previous owner. Like, it's weird when we start talking about like the whole ghost topic. There's a lot of different avenues you can go down, because what are we exactly talking about? Are we talking about what they call the DPH, which is dead person hypothesis? Like a ghost is someone's soul, right? That's lingering around and going,
That
like you said
hasn't been
about that.
released to the other side yet. Maybe it's just in limbo.
Right. Like you said about that one woman who was just trying to get home and she ended up dying. And then, there's
And then she went home
paranormal
anyway and
activity.
she just hung out there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be that. It could be residual energy just in the house. Like, I mean, I heard this interesting story. Like, I'm going to go on a little, detour here real quick. I heard this interesting story one time from a paranormal investigator who I follow quite a bit. His name is, damn, it's escaping me now, but he tells this story about how he goes to this older woman's house, and she's claiming that there's ghost children, to be precise. She says there's 2 children, a boy and a girl, younger, probably like, below their teens, probably like in their tweens or like in, 9-10 years old, something like that. So younger children and their ghosts. And he's asking her all these questions about like, okay, so what's going on? And she's like, I hear children giggling and then footsteps running up and down the hallway.
Okay.
So he's like, okay, interesting. He got some EVPs about it, hearing some of the noises and whatnot. Interesting case to begin with. Well, fast forward like 10 years later, he goes back to the same house because the new resident of this house is claiming that there is a ghost. So he's thinking, okay, it's going to be 2 children ghosts running up and down the hallways and all that stuff. He gets there, and when he walks in the door, he's talking to the woman who's now, the previous owner, like I said, was an older woman, like in her 80s.
Okay.
This woman is in her probably late 20s, early 30s, somewhere in there, probably like early 30s. And she's claiming that there is an old woman who's haunting the house. And then as he's getting this conversation going on and, just taking notes and like trying to get to the bottom of it, 2 little kids come running down the hallway giggling, like real life kids running down the hallway giggling, and it's a boy and a girl. So it's like this weird, are these ghosts people who have passed on and haven't like moved on? Is this some kind of like time related thing where in the past she's hearing these kids from the future who are going to be living in this freaking house and they're running up and down the hallways and making a ruckus and giggling? It's weird. Like when you dive into this like paranormal rabbit hole that I like to call it, it'll blow your freaking mind because
okay,
most
you need
people
to tell me who this guy is because I need to follow this paranormal guy first of all. So get on his name for me. So it's almost like they traded places.
Exactly, and it's weird because he like I said, this guy's paranormal investigator. He has his own podcast. He does a lot of podcast interviews and whatnot, and he's very much. I should say was very much of the ghosts or dead people whose souls haven't passed over. That was kind of his thing. But after some of these different cases he's been on, he's starting to question, like, that's interesting. What is actually going on here? Are these actually ghosts, or is this energy from previous owner to future owners? It's weird. I'll pull up his name.
Energy is a really weird thing because have you ever like gone into talking about a rabbit hole? Like have you ever just sat and thought about like what a human being is? It's just fucking crazy. Like how this, like it's just so weird. Like how we were created and that we like have hands and feet and like how we eat and how we're just, it's just strange. Like if you start really thinking into like all of the different, so who's to say that like there's just not a whole other part living in another afterlife? I mean, obviously there has to be, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but if you ever just think really, really, it like hurts your brain to try to understand exactly like human beings and what we're doing and spirits and dying. And it's just, I don't know, it freaks me out sometimes.
Well, one of the biggest reasons why I love the paranormal topic, it's not so much like, I mean, yeah, sure, there's the spooky aspect and stuff, but it makes me question things. It makes me question perception. It makes me question consciousness. It makes me question.
Well, it makes you question things aren't always black and white. And I get really annoyed with people who are like, yep, you die and that's it. Oh, hi, Cassie.
Hey, baby.
I saw you give her the little smoochy smooch.
Oh, she's looking fine. She's trying to hide right now.
Damn, girl, you looking fine in those scrubs.
Yeah, so
show me your belly. I wanted to read this really quick because Ryan was kind enough to type up his. Yeah, I'm gonna just read what he typed, and hopefully it'll make sense. I have to say, I think my drink is starting to hit me a little bit, so keep me on track. Okay, so it says we get called to this person who is described as an ill person. We get there, it's fall, winter in Phoenix, so pretty nice outside. They have the AC cranking in the house. It's freezing in this house. We get led to the person, and the room they are in is super hot, even with the AC cranking. He doesn't acknowledge us until we try to move him, and then he starts screaming and is flailing around. 6 of us manhandle this kid and get him on the gurney, and as we walk through the house, it gets hot in the other room. As we go to the door, we are pretty freaked out. I think this kid was possessed. The feeling was the creepiest feeling I've ever had, and the heat around this kid was so weird. You know what, though, Ryan? I'm just going to tell you my thoughts on that. My thoughts on that are that generally, when there is a spirit or possession, my understanding is that the temperature goes in the opposite direction. When you feel very, 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 very cold and the temperature drops. Is that what you think? Is that what you've heard too, Whiskey Banger? If the temp, because that's another thing they do. They do like the temperature thing, and they'll see if the temperature drops. And a lot of times, if the temperature drops or they're freezing, like the person looking for the spirit is freezing, it means that there is an entity around them.
I've heard both. I've heard cases where people have come into like kind of like what Ryan is describing. They go in like first responders, right? They go in and they have this person who's unresponsive or sick or ill, like he said, and either the house is super hot and the person is ice cold to the touch, or vice versa, like what Ryan was describing, where the house is freezing and the person's burning up.
A lot of times too is the things that I generally watch. It's ghosts and stuff. I don't think I've watched a whole lot of things on possessions. So maybe it's different when the human body is possessed. Maybe that's when their body actually heats up versus when you feel a dead spirit around you. That's when it gets colder.
Yeah, like Diana said, she doesn't believe in spirits and boogeymen. And I mean, rightfully so. I know tons of people who have never experienced anything, never taken a dive into the paranormal. And that's totally fine. I mean, if you haven't experienced it, you haven't experienced it. I know.
But I haven't either. I mean, other than the whatever alien abduction thing in the car with Greg and I years ago, I legitimately have never experienced anything except... And I don't know how realistic it is. And I don't know how they would play with my mind. So I watch Paranoia every Friday, which they are probably on right now, and I'm missing it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I don't know where they are. I should pull it up. Anyway, there was one thing in particular that, so my daughter and I watch this every Friday night, and it's basically just a live TikTok stream. So live like this is. So let me ask you, how could I make something up that you're seeing live? I mean, I guess I could, but I'd have to be really fancy and have good technology, right? To make you believe that there was a ghost behind me, right? I mean, you
Sure.
would think.
I mean, there's definitely ways you could like stage things. Like you see
Well,
videos
I thought,
online of
yeah.
like something moving in the kitchen behind someone, and it's like, I mean, okay, it's interesting. I can't explain it. Could
Okay.
I
Well,
replicate it? Maybe, but I don't know. I'd
see,
have to see
and
it.
that's where I feel sometimes I feel stupid because I want to believe. So, for instance, I want to believe this, but I second guess myself because I'm still like, okay, well, it doesn't make a ton of sense. So I was talking about the Great Saltaire before with Marilyn Manson's room. That place is freaking haunted. There was like chairs flipping upside down and all this weird shit. What they try to do though on these streams is they try to account for everybody and say, no, everybody is here. And you try to hope that they're telling the truth. You try to hope that there is nobody else that they brought that's like making stuff happen in the background just to freak you out. You want to believe because it's interesting. So the Great Saltaire, it's the Salt Lake, right? And they're right on the Salt Lake, and there is this part where nobody walks to because it's really cold. But anyway, there is a story that you can hear kids crying out there because there's an old story about a mom whose kids drowned out there and she's constantly looking for them. So about 2 days prior to Paranosis going out there and investigating this area, they were setting up for a concert. Not Paranosis, but this construction company was setting up a concert, and they said very late into the night they were setting up and they heard weird things and they saw weird things. So there is a tale that there is a lady who walks along the beach dressed in white. This is where things get a little bit cloudy for me, where I want to believe because I saw it. And this is what before the podcast starting, I was telling you, when I saw this, my whole body got chills and I started crying. And I don't know why it made me cry. I don't know if it freaked me out so much. But ironically, there was a time of the night that she likes to appear. And ironically, the cast or the two people there go out to said lake during this time. And then ironically, this ghost dressed in white is walking along. Now, there has been plenty of people that screen recorded this. Now, this is live. Part of me is like, it was too coincidental. Part of me, it was like, okay, they just so happened to go out there. And 5 minutes after they're out there, they see the lady in white. It's a little too convenient.
Sure.
However, when you review the tape, like people on TikTok that I follow had a screen recording of it and they focused in on it. It looks like a ghost. I don't know how to describe it, but I want to believe that it's true because it looked really freaky. It didn't look like something you could make up. But it's like, at what point are we allowed to believe that it's true? And at what point is it bullshit? Because there's so much technology now. I don't know. I've seen so many weird things. I've seen stuff move. I've seen stuff live that happen that bring my daughter and I to tears because it freaks us out. I mean, what is that? What do you think? No, Ryan, it didn't look doctored because I saw it with my own eyes. That's the weird part. The weird part is they're doing paranormal. They do Paranosis live every Friday night. They pick a haunted location and they just start doing their thing. So it's live. But just because it's live doesn't mean that they don't have people doing stuff. But I didn't look like somebody just walking down the beach. I think I would be able to differentiate a person. I don't know, like they're doing it with a camera or their phones. Like, how do you make that stuff up? You know what I mean? That's what I don't know. I wish I could show it on here so people could see and make their own assumption. but I've seen things that I can't explain, but I didn't see them with my own eyes, but I saw them live. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. My thing is, I'm a firm believer in have an open mind, but not so open that your brains fall out. Right.
Yeah.
So
right.
you can be, you can have a little bit of skepticism. You can be like, okay, that looks kind of, like you said, it was very convenient. Like that's a good word, right?
It
Like
was too convenient. It was so convenient. I mean, it's kind of like, for instance, and not to cut you off, but there's a lot of times where he'll take 2 flashlights. Okay. And he explains it every time, and he uses big words like Philharmonic and all this stuff. And basically, if you take a flashlight and you make it really loose to where there's a little gap between the battery and the actual little squirrely thing that activates the light, he loosens it so energy can insert itself in between the flashlight and give it power. And conveniently, sometimes he'll say, hey, spirit, on the count of 3, can you light up the red flashlight? Now, do I think it's really happening? Or do I think these assholes have these flashlights on remote control? Do you see what, like, that's where my brain goes. Like, I want to believe that a spirit can insert, because spirits feed off of energy. So if they insert, that's why the REM pod goes off. That's why the EVPs are heard. That's why all these things happen. And everything is based off of energy. If you've noticed, everything that they do, the laser grid, everything is energy. So who's to say that it's not bullshit?
I mean, it could be. You got to look at it this way. The show's called Paranosis, right? So like what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You're heading off to Gettysburg to go do a ghost tour. You're already You're already priming yourself. So like if you're watching this show or this whatever TikTok thing.
I mean, it's live, which makes me question it more. It's not a show that was edited. Because there's sometimes nothing happens, to be honest with you. There's some times where the kid and I look at each other and we're like, wow, this is lame. There is no activity. And then there's sometimes there's an immense amount of activity. So that's what I'm saying. Like, how can you, I don't know. It confuses me.
I feel like that's good though, because if I'm watching a show or a podcast or whatever, and every single place they go, they're getting some kind of activity or some kind of unexplained thing, that's a red flag for me, because
I agree.
I find that a lot of it is very subtle. Yeah. It's not as bombastic and like, crazy as what everybody thinks it is. A lot of times it's very subtle things. Like, I mean, we've had, like, for example, Cassie and I have been living in this house for about a little over a year now.
Right.
We've had some weird things that happen here. Now, I'm not going to say it's ghosts or anything like that, but there's definitely times where we would like our master bedroom has 2 doors, right?
Right.
And we always leave one of them open. Always. We never close it unless we're giving Easton a bath or something.
Right.
Well, there's been times where like you go downstairs and you're doing whatever, and then you go back upstairs and the door's closed. Now, a lot of people could just chalk that up to, oh, it's a draft, or we don't leave windows open, so it's not a draft. Oh, well, maybe it's the air conditioning. Okay, well, the air conditioning runs all day long. It's Phoenix. It's hot as balls here. And the door's never closed on its own, ever. So what the hell is that? And then there's times where there was a time when it was maybe like a month after we moved in. I had a bunch of tools laid out, and I think I was going to be working on like the garbage disposal or something. And I left a tool right in the like dead center of the kitchen floor, right? Because I'm going to be working on this garbage disposal.
Right.
I leave to go get something else. I come back and the tool is no longer in the middle of the floor. I'm like, well, that's weird. Where the hell did I? And at the time, I'm not thinking anything paranormal or weird. I'm thinking, where the hell did I leave this tool? Like I ended up finding the tool in the living room on like the windowsill.
And so you know, you didn't move it.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't
Yeah.
even go in the living room. I went from the kitchen to the garage, and then I came back and it was moved. So I don't know what that is.
Can I ask you, and I don't want to call you, like, I don't want to put you on blast, but I'm not going to
Blast
say it,
away.
but you've had a family member very close to you pass away. Did this happen before or after that family member passed away?
This was before, but I do have a very interesting story about after.
Please tell.
If you'd like me to tell it. So
I would love for you to tell it. Thank you kindly.
So this isn't so much like, something moving or a door closing, nothing like that. It took me a while to even like talk about this. Like I told Cassie about this just a couple months ago. So my father passed away back in March, and it was March 3rd, and he was in the hospital, wasn't doing well. At like super early in the morning, it was probably like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I'm kind of looking around and I'm just like, okay, I don't know. I just woke up, I guess. And I'm like looking at the clock and it's like 3 something, 4 something in the morning, something like that. So I lay back down and I just, I have my head down, like on my, like laid back on my pillow, and I close my eyes, and immediately in like picture having your eyes closed, everything's dark.
Right.
Immediately I see in my vision with my eyes closed, it's a humanoid shape, right? So like head,
Right.
arms, and legs, but it looks like either like fire or like an energy something, right? I don't really know how to explain it, but when I see it, I immediately think, oh, that's my dad. Like that's the immediate feeling that I got, like this is my dad, and which didn't make sense to me. I was just like, my dad's in the
Had he
hospital.
passed away yet, or he was still in the hospital?
He hadn't yet. And then
Ooh.
like 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from my mom and my dad passed. So
Yep.
It was like, freaking
he was stopping by on the way out.
And it's like, I
believe in that stuff.
It is the weirdest thing because I'm not like a super religious person, somewhat spiritual.
No, me neither. Yeah, I'm more spiritual than anything. Sure.
But that's one of those things that I can't explain.
Yeah.
And I mean, somebody could easily just say like, oh, well, your dad was in the hospital. You were kind of primed for, you're feeling down. You're missing your dad. You're worried about your dad. So maybe, hey, like it pops up. He pops up in your subconscious, right? And maybe I have no idea.
No, listen, I think too, when we are resting and we are in that other place when we sleep, I feel like that's when we're the most open to receive anything, because we're relaxed, our brains are relaxed, we're not. I believe that I'm sorry, I don't believe in like you said this, you say this all the time, you don't believe in coincidences.
I don't.
It wasn't a coincidence. I'm sorry. It was okay. So there was one time, and I may not be saying this right, and then I'll read. Ryan posted another weird experience he had as a firefighter, and I'll read it in a minute. But so I don't remember if it was Greg or Juliana that had this experience. I want to say it's Juliana, and if she's listening, she can chime in. So when Greg's grandfather, Frank, passed away, I want to say that the night he passed away, for some reason, Greg decided to go sleep at his parents' house. He wanted to be close to them, and it was fine. And Juliana slept in my bed on Greg's side. So I think this was Juliana. Grandpa always used to give Juliana money. Always used to give her money, whether it was $1, whether it was change. Grandparents do that. They always give you like a couple of bucks. I want to say, and I wish I had them with me because they could tell the story right. There was change left. There was change left, whether it was on the nightstand for Juliana, but she made the connection that Grandpa left change for her. Like there was no change on the nightstand when she went to bed. But after he passed away, like there was change left on the nightstand, and she was like, "Oh, Grandpa Frank left that for me." I want to say that was Juliana's experience. There was another time. Yep, she just chimed in. So it was her. She did find change on Greg's nightstand when she woke up. Okay, thanks, kid. There was another time, real quick, now that we're on the subject of that. Juliana, when she was little, she used to, it was freaky. Okay, so you see the back of my house here. So this, you can't really see it. So in the opposite direction of my back door is my living room. So if you sit on my couch, you can see into this back door here. And for a long time, Juliana would say that she would see people. She used to say that she saw like a bunch of people, even in her room on the ceilings and stuff. It was super weird. So one time we were at and this is when she was only a couple years old. We were at my in-laws' house. She kept saying that she saw an older man with, and we're like, God, this is so weird. Who are you seeing? So my mother-in-law pulls out a picture of her parents. And Juliana goes, yeah, that's him right there. And it was Fran's dad, who Juliana never met.
Wow.
Who we wish that Juliana had the opportunity to meet him, because he just loved, like, he would have loved to be a grandpa or a great grandpa to a granddaughter. He would have loved Juliana. So I feel like, too, we're more open when we're younger, and we're not so corroded with all of the BS that comes with life and the skepticism. Like, she saw a lot of stuff when she was younger that I feel like are paranormal stuff. Oh, he visited me again at our house, Mom. When did he visit you again, Juliana? Are you talking about Grandpa Vinny? Interesting. All right, so let me see real quick what Ryan's talking about here. Hold on one second.
Yeah, read that story of Ryan's real quick.
Yeah, I gotta, let me see. Another time we were driving around a historic area downtown Phoenix. We stopped by a house originally built in the 1910s that was under renovation. We were talking to the caretaker living there. He said he saw a little girl ghost when he first moved in. She said she was a ghost because he pointed out a little girl in the upstairs window and the house was completely empty. He described her to us as a little blonde girl with a bob haircut. He let us walk into the house and look around. It was a cool house, totally vacant. We poked around, eventually found a cabinet. There was a photo album in the cabinet. The guy said he's never seen this before. We found it, and it was obviously not disturbed. There were pictures of the house from it originally being built. There was a family picture in the album, a mom, a dad, a little boy, and a little blonde girl with a bob haircut, just as the man described. Fucking A, man. I'm telling you. That's the kind of stuff. Like, how can you argue with that?
Yeah, that story is a perfect example of, it's not something like super spooky and crazy, but it's something you can't really explain, right?
Yeah, it's not scary at all. It's absolutely just. Since Ryan is here and active on the chat, before I lose him to another call, as Tim would say, a cat in the tree. So disrespectful. I wanted to bring something to the podcast for Ryan. I'd like you to know that I've mentioned this before, that my spirit animal is a penguin. And I brought this. I don't know. Oh, you can't really see it with this freaking ring light. Can you not see that? Hold on.
I can see it.
Can you see it on the stream?
Yeah. If you angle it like that, what you're doing right now, you can see it.
Okay. So anyway, my mother-in-law gave me this because I feel like my spirit animal is a penguin. Ryan, we don't eat penguins. And she bought me this, and this is my spirit animal, and it means happiness. All things on earth are alive. All things on earth have meaning. All things on earth are united. All things on earth should be cherished. Ryan, we do not eat penguins. Oh, it's hard to see on the iPhone. Well, it's a cute little, like, it's a hard hand-carved soapstone of a penguin. There, maybe you can see it there. Anyway, Ryan, we don't eat penguins. I just wanted to let you know that I don't condone eating of penguins. And for anybody who's new to the podcast on this episode, Ryan G in the chat likes to talk about eating penguins, and he likes to take the podcast into a very disturbing path. So anyway, that was for Ryan. Anywho, I don't know what else. Me either. So now you're not eating them, Ryan? Yuck. You're not going to eat a penguin? I could never. Let me tell you something. Speaking of eating, and this kind of goes along because he's dead, I think. Yes. So I started watching Jeffrey Dahmer because much like now I could do a whole podcast about serial killers because that's my jam too. And I might need some therapy because I like paranormal activity and serial killers, but they kind of go hand in hand because sometimes the houses where they killed people are possessed. But anyway, is anybody watching the Dahmer show on Netflix? Tanner, are you?
Not yet, no. We plan on watching it though.
Well, speaking of eating things, I would recommend highly not eating if you were going to watch it. Oh, Ryan's on episode 5. My daughter's on episode 5. I'm on episode 4. And I decided to watch it a little bit while I was eating my lunch today. It's disgusting.
I mean, it's Jeffrey Dahmer.
Juliana, if you're listening, what was the Anson Call House? Which serial killer was there? Where, by the way, so there was this house real quick in Salt Lake because the paranosis people I follow are in Salt Lake. So they do a lot of like local stuff. I don't know. There's supposedly one of the serial killers took one of Ted Bundy. Thank you, Juliana. Ted Bundy took one of their victims to this house, they say. And that's where like there's an open portal with a mirror and everything. Anyway, weird story. There was an Etch-a-Sketch. Now, why there was an Etch-a-Sketch in this old rundown house, I don't know. But, and this is how I don't know how to explain this. So they're and here's the thing too. Here's the thing that I don't understand, and help me figure this out. Every time something weird is happening, it's almost like the camera's never on it. So for instance, he has the camera one way, and then next thing you know, he's focusing on the mantle. There's an Etch-a-Sketch, which is really random for this house. It's an old Anson Call house. It's all ran down. They do demonic, weird shit in there. There's a pentagram on the floor, yada, yada, yada. There's supposed to be a portal in the closet. The Etch-a-Sketch had the word die on it. Wasn't there before. My brain hurts from trying to figure out how this shit really happens. Like, I want to see the camera. I want to see the spirit writing die on the Etch-a-Sketch. I don't want you to go, oh, look at the Etch-a-Sketch. There's nothing on it. Oh, look over here. Oh, look back. Oh God, I'm spilling shit. I don't want, I want you know what I mean? I think that's where I get a little bit questionable because all of a sudden, sometimes I see certain things with the naked eye and sometimes we pan away and then we go back. Like, I don't know. I know I'm rambling, but it was just that was one of the times that Juliana and I actually like cried because it freaked us out. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Something like that is a red flag for me. It's like you said, I want to see, like, don't show me something after the fact. Like, oh, hey, look at this. Look at what this craziness that just happened. Like, can you like,
well, and you know when things
camera?
happen too? Things tend to happen too. One, when you're not looking, or two, the very popular thing on these paranormal feed things that I watch are when they go lights out. And it's like the lights are out and shit hits the fan and then the lights are back on and shit's hit the fan. And you're like, well, was there anybody behind that? Like, for instance, we talked about possessed dolls earlier. So they get all this possessed stuff all the time sent to them. And there was this possessed clown, and this Vincent took this possessed clown down to I don't know where the hell they were, but it was really weird. And he took this possessed clown down into this cave area. And there was like a cell down there. I don't know. It was so strange. All I know is, remember how we were talking about how you can set the laser grid up and you can see how stuff moves through the lasers, and that's how you know stuff's moving?
Right.
The clown literally went from one spot to the other, like really, really quick. And I saw it happen. However, the lights were off and all I could see was movement in the green lights. You know, this podcast is turning me into a freaking skeptic, and I'm not happy about it.
But I mean, that's good though. It's healthy skepticism is a good thing. So like you can watch that show or TikTok, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you can enjoy it, right? Like you can get your creep on. You can be like, oh, that's weird. That's creepy. But at the same time, it's good to just, okay, like that's interesting, but
yeah,
I need a little bit more. So it's good to take it with just a grain of salt, in my opinion.
I guess
anyway.
so. I guess at the end of the day, they're doing it for entertainment purposes because honestly,
Sure.
they enjoy doing it. They want the views on TikTok. I guess sometimes I give too much into it and I'm like, no, damn it, it's real. And I have to like, stand by it, which I don't know why. But the kid and I have seen some really, really freaked out stuff. But what I do like is that they do try to debunk the stuff. Like they'll try to say, well, that couldn't have happened because like you said with your door, the air conditioning can blow it closed, or that shadow wasn't true because so-and-so can make the shadow. I do respect that. I do believe the moral of this podcast is I do believe in paranormal activity. I do believe some of this stuff is bullshit, but I do believe that people like to come back and screw with us. And I do believe they're demonic entities. And I don't know. I'd like to see it for myself. I'd like to go on like a haunted ghost thing, like in Jerome or something here in Phoenix or here in Arizona. There's like a whole haunted town. Is Jerome all haunted or is it just a hotel?
There's a haunted hotel.
My cousin's done it before and she said it's really cool, but who's to say because it's haunted? Is it like a haunted house? Do they put on a show?
That's the thing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're putting out a product, whatever it is, whether it's a show, whether it's a ghost tour, whether it's a haunted hotel, you're putting out a product for people who want to see something happen or people who want to debunk it and say that it's all bullshit.
Right.
So either way, any kind of, bad press is good press, right? So even if you're a debunker,
is very true.
Yeah, like if you're a debunker and you want to go say, hey, this haunted hotel is bullshit, well, guess what? They still bought a ticket.
That's true, whether you're there for what reason. Right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I'm a firm believer in if you're interested in it, by all means, take a deep dive. I mean, I do. Go out and check it out. Find whatever topic you like and then go for it. Like I'm a big, I'm really into, like I lived in the Pacific Northwest for like 5 years and like Bigfoot, right? Sasquatch is
do you believe in that?
I have mixed feelings about the whole Bigfoot thing. There's a lot of, again, like any other paranormal topic, there's different avenues, right? Like there's some people that believe that Bigfoot is a relic hominid of the human race and he's like an offshoot of Homo sapien. Then there's the people that believe that Bigfoot is like an undiscovered mountain North American ape. And then there's people that believe that Bigfoot is like an ethereal type being who can teleport, and like that's why you can't get pictures and you can't see him on webcam or trail cams. So there's a lot of different avenues to go down. I think a lot of them are interesting. Like there's some decent evidence out there, but there's a lot of bullshit out there too. But it's interesting because
the interesting part is they always, every time somebody describes it, isn't it described as to what your shirt looks like? Doesn't everybody have the same description?
Yeah.
Like
so
UFOs?
most of them have, and I mean, even like when I was in, like I said, the Pacific Northwest, I lived in Washington, and there's a lot of lore up there, not just like, spoopy, scary Bigfoot stuff, but like actual indigenous, First Nations type Native American tribes up there that have, Sasquatch lore in their history. So it's kind of
What
hard
about
to.
the Loch Ness monster?
I don't know.
Isn't that popular up in the Northwest there too?
That's Loch Ness Monster is like from Scotland. So it's,
okay.
Yeah, but I mean, there's different, quote unquote lake monsters.
Yeah.
In the US that are similar to the Loch Ness Monster. Could there be some kind of, prehistoric type animal swimming around?
Hold on. Whiskey Banger, it looks like you're being hit on in the chat by CannoliSasquatch. If you want to read that comment.
I think
that was for you.
I'll be your Sasquatch. You already are my Sasquatch, bro.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you
named
him
that.
Anyway. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, we only have 5 people. I think they're getting bored on the chat. I think they all bounced because, Mom, they aren't saying where they are. I don't know. Maybe
it is pretty normal. Like a lot of the people are East Coast. It's getting late for them,
But the people that I paid to be on this podcast, like I said, for $5 didn't show up. So I'm going to have beef with them when I talk to them.
You better keep that pimp hand strong.
I didn't set this whole background up for nothing. Yeah, I like I said, there's this whole thing too. There's a not a documentary. There's a show called Skinwalkers, and there's Skinwalkers Ranch, and and Paranosis has been there before. The scary thing is we were watching Paranosis probably 2 months ago, and they couldn't say Skinwalker Ranch because they're not allowed to say, because there's a show that has the same name. I don't know. Anywho, they were fired upon with guns by like some people around. And listen, I know that there's a lot of bullshit, but I heard the gunshots and they ran. And if they're doing it for views, more power to them. But it didn't seem like it because I don't know why people, it's not like they got any more views after that. Like they maintained their same amount of views every single week. It's not like it increased anything, but Sasquatch is huge in NorCal area. Northern California. Have you heard of that too? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, the original quote unquote Bigfoot sighting was in Northern California.
I'm really stupid with geography. I lived in Mission. Where did I friggin' live? I don't remember now. I might be getting drunk. I lived in the same place that Independence Day blew up. Oh my God, if Greg was in the chat, he could help me. Independence Day, the very first place that they blew up. Mission Viejo? Shit, I don't remember. Anywho.
I have no idea.
It was interesting though, because Independence Day decided to Will Smith and the whole thing, and they blew up like where I lived, and it's a small little area in California. I was born in Huntington Beach and I lived in Orange County, but not like those fancy people. But it wasn't for very long. So I don't know. I believe in all sorts of weird stuff. You really think that, and if people believe in a higher power and God and everything, you don't think that there was some sort of like weird shit that got created along the way and there was a Sasquatch. I mean, who knows if a monkey and something else decided to have a baby and then all of a sudden there's a Sasquatch. I don't know.
It's an interesting, like the whole Sasquatch thing is interesting. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of bullshit out there. There's a lot of people who claim that they shot a Bigfoot, they cut him up and they put him in his freaking freezer in the garage. And I'll pay you, if you pay me $1 million.
Hold on a second. Not to interrupt you, but let me just say something. What you just said is a lot like we shot bin Laden and threw him in the ocean. Okay, I don't believe you because I didn't see it. If you really killed a Bigfoot, why wouldn't you take a picture of it? Much like when people take a picture of like ginormous fishes or weird shit from the sea that are way too big and they take pictures of them, why wouldn't you take a picture of the Bigfoot? I'm just saying.
Yeah, and that's where the argument comes in. There you go. I mean, right on cue. Ryan just said it. Look into the Nephilim. So
what is
there's
that?
So Nephilim are it's from the biblical. Basically, they're a race of beings from the ascended people, and they are ethereal. This, like I said earlier, that there's a group of people that think that Bigfoot is like an ethereal being. So this idea that, like, how come we can't get a picture of a Bigfoot or like a good trail cam or something? It's because they have abilities and you can't see them and they can teleport and all that stuff. Again, I don't really buy into that necessarily. There's nothing out there that really is convincing enough for me to be like, oh yeah, like that's so true. But like, again, if you if you're ever bored on a Friday night and you're just kind of feeling like going down into a rabbit hole, start looking into like Bigfoot lore, look into the Nephilim, look into the Ascended Masters, look into, there's so much stuff out there that'll blow your mind.
Results of angels that had sex with human women. That is very confusing.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, the thing, what it goes back to too is like, I don't think people just sit down on a Friday night and make shit up. I mean, I think that there has been like, okay, so that's another thing. There is somebody that I listened to on the radio that said it's hard for him to believe in aliens because with all of the technology that we have now and our iPhones and all of these fancy cameras and telescopes and all of that, how come we've never gotten a really good picture of a UFO? The people will say the same thing about that. It's interesting. Maybe it's because they don't show up on cameras. However, on the opposite side, going back to paranormal, there's been plenty of times where, like, whether it's doctored or not, Ghost Adventures will go through and take 200 pictures in a home, and there'll be like an apparition that shows up on one or two of the pictures. Like, how do you explain somebody who can dodge a photo and somebody who shows up in one? It's weird.
Sure.
I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. I guess it's up to your interpretation, what you choose to believe, what you want to believe. And sometimes people are too scared to believe that I truly feel like there's a whole nother planet running like we are. I think that there's a whole other, we can't be the only people in this whole entire universe, honestly. What do you think?
I definitely agree. So, I mean, there's a reoccurring theme here that you're going to hear from me a lot when I talk about paranormal. Every topic has different avenues, right? Like I said with Bigfoot, there's the ethereal one, there's the ape, there's the offshoot of Homo sapien or whatever. UFOs, alien, same thing. It can be, some people think that UFOs that they see are full of aliens from another galaxy somewhere or another star system somewhere. Other people don't. Other people think that UFOs is something more of like a consciousness-based thing where, like the alien abduction scenario, right? Where someone's laying in their bed and all of a sudden they're on this, platform and they got all these little creepy 4-foot tall, big head, big eyed looking alien grays.
You mean people that look? You mean like people that look like Tim staring over at you in your bed?
Basically, yeah, like a pasty, skinny version of Tim, which is terrifying when I think about that.
He's so short; he's eye level at you when you're laying down.
Exactly. But it's interesting because, like, if you look through like history, there's shamans. They're working, medicine men down in like the Amazon. Yeah. When they take their like ayahuasca trips and stuff, they see the same thing. They see these gray entity looking things in these psychedelic trips. So what exactly is going on? That it opens up so many more questions. Like, okay, is this alien that I saw in my bedroom, is he from Zeta Reticuli off in some other galaxy? Or am I having some kind of consciousness thing and this is some kind of being from another plane of existence?
Right.
I have no idea. It really opens up a lot of questions, and that's why I like it so much. It's, like I said,
because it's not black and white though. It's up for interpretation. I think it's however you want to see it. And, we've all had experiences, and I think that our experiences are obviously, I mean, they're not bullshit. So they're obviously happened for a reason, but I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah. And I could definitely understand, like, for someone who's never had any kind of experience, like I get why they're, oh, this is all bullshit and they're just debunkers and you guys are all crazy and you're, smoking the weed and doing the drugs, and I get it. Like, but I know plenty of people that have had, it's weird because paranormal is a big topic that I like, right? So when I get to know people, we get to talking, like, like Mr. CannoliSasquatch. We were talking one day, he came over and we were hanging out one day and we just started talking about random stuff, and he brought up your
I know he was at your house for 72 hours that day.
Yeah, we were sitting there just drinking and like talking. So I tend to do that. Like, I will get to know someone, and once I feel a little comfortable, hey, you ever had anything weird happen or something? And it's like, I would say 9 times out of 10, that person that's just like, I'm not really into the topic, whatever, they'll tell you a story that'll blow your mind, and you're just like, well, wait, what? You were...
Yeah, no, your cat story completely effed me up.
Dude,
I'm not going to lie. That cat story was like, I mean, quick question, were you watching Hocus Pocus? Because that cat talks in that movie.
I was not. And I was not watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch either.
That's right. Yeah, the cat talks in that one too. Yeah. No, I know. I mean, it's definitely a controversial topic because you've got people that either believe or they don't believe. And I can't fault somebody for not believing, but I feel like too, it's much like religion. I don't feel like everything is black and white. I feel like there's always a gray area for something in all of our lives. I feel like nothing is certain, and we can, I don't know. I just think it depends on the situation. Unlock the door. Hold on, my kid is home. I have to unlock the door. Un momento, por favor.
Definitely.
Hold on.
Yeah, Fran, that cat story, it's something I'll never forget. It's something when I tell people, they think I'm crazy. They try to just explain it away as like, you were dreaming, you were hallucinating. But that's like one of the stories that I will stand by that for the rest of my life. And I will tell that story to anybody and everybody.
Here's a funny story. Sometimes you don't realize how much you've had to drink until you get up.
Oh, did you, start leaning towards the door?
No, but it's a little questionable. So, I mean, it's been a good time. I don't know. I guess my kid's coming home. Oh, because my kid didn't understand what the definition of a sleepover was. So I listen, I don't know what to tell you. Well, Mr. CannoliSasquatch told me that generally podcasts go 2 hours, and we've hit the 2 hour and 14-minute mark. So unless anybody else would like, well, and we only have 4 people watching, they're over us. I don't know. I think we did okay. What do you think?
I thought it was great. I mean, this is a topic I love talking about. I would say at the end here. Did we talk
enough about it, though? Did we talk enough about the topic, you think?
I think we did. I mean, we hit the major points. I mean, this wasn't meant to be like a deep dive into, specific topics. It was just, hey, this is what the paranormal is. These are the different categories. There's shows, podcasts, books. If
Well, what
anyone's
is
ever
your
interested-
favorite? If people are interested in paranormal activity, what are your favorite things that you like to listen to or watch where you get a lot of your information?
So the best podcast that I can recommend is a podcast called Where Did the Road Go?
Yes, that
And-
one is crazy. That's about like
Yeah.
disappearing people, right?
Yeah, so they talk about a lot of different topics. They talk about consciousness, they talk about UFO stuff, they talk about Bigfoot, they talk about missing people, they talk about, you know, like missing people in like
Yeah.
weird circumstances.
Yeah,
And
like abduction stuff, and they never come back sometimes. I've listened to it back when I was majorly into podcasts. I listened to that one. And do you listen to the last podcast on the left?
Yeah, that's another one that's really,
Okay.
that's another good one. It's really popular. If I would say this, if you're going for more of like a broad understanding, podcast like last podcast on the left
Mhm.
is better suited for that. Where Did the Road Go is a
Okay.
little more like in depth.
It's
and like,
deep. It's really
Yeah,
deep
like you-
sometimes. Yeah.
you need to have a little bit of an understanding of the topic.
Mhm.
I mean, I've been listening to that podcast since like 2014, and it's
Wow.
they do like 1 or 2 podcasts every day. They talk about everything from, you know, current events in the news that are kind of unexplained. I have listened to that podcast, Ryan. Yeah, and That's Why We Drink. They're actually really funny, and they do bring up a lot of like really interesting topics related to this kind of stuff. So I definitely would agree with him on that. And she's gone. I don't know where she went. I don't know if she's coming back or not, but I just want to thank everybody in the chat. Great stories. Ryan, your stories were creepy as hell. And yeah, Jamie, are you there? But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for hanging out and just kind of chatting. This, like I said, this is a topic that I really enjoy. And with Mr. CannoliSasquatch being in Texas, we still wanted to keep the show going. So we decided to go ahead and just do it. And we appreciate everybody coming in. Oh, there she is. Hey, don't worry about it, Jamie. We're going to go ahead and just close it out here. But yeah, I feel like this will be something we'll touch on again in a later, you know, when everybody comes back, we can have like a big round table, because I really want Filipino Meatball involved so he can get his super skeptic hat on. But hope everybody had a good time, and have a good night.
As my husband always says, like, subscribe, and share. We're trying to grow this channel. Maybe I'll be back to do another one. I do love true crime, so maybe he'll let me do another true crime podcast for him on his channel. I don't know if he's going to be back on Monday. He usually does a solo podcast on Monday, but he is getting in late on Sunday night and then has to work on Monday. So I don't know. He might try it. But anyway, thank you so much, everybody who joined. I do appreciate it. I'm just trying to find my outro here so I can end this podcast correctly. Podcast outro. Well, let's look for it. Hold on. Nope, that's not it. Podcast. Well, maybe this will be it. Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate your support, and tell your friends about this cool podcast that we're starting. And all right, I am going to go ahead and sign off. Have a good rest of your night, everybody, and hopefully Greg will see you here on Monday. Bye.